Hi everyone, welcome to the Education Assistant info session. I would like to welcome everyone tonight and let you know that this info session is being recorded. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to you all and let you know that we are hosting this info session tonight from Salmon Arm, which is on the traditional, unceded, and untreated beautiful territory of the Secwepemc people. And on behalf of Okanagan College, we respectfully acknowledge that our Penticton, Kelowna, and Vernon campuses are located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. And the Salmon Arm, where I'm coming from, is on the Secwepemc. And our Revelstoke Center is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Ktunaxa, Secwepemc, Syilx Okanagan people. And that's important to all of us because we want to recognize our traditional heritage on these lands, and also that we have the Education Assistant Program in every single region of this territory. So welcome once again to our program for tonight. We will get started. So firstly, we did our welcomes and our introductions, and I would like to introduce myself. My name is Mandy Bell. I'm a program coordinator for the Education Assistant Program, and I'm located in Salmon Arm, and I take care of the Salmon Arm and Revelstoke campuses. And then my co-host, Christy, tonight, I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Christy Gels. I'm a program coordinator for the EA program at the Vernon campus, and Mandy and I take care of the part-time online course together.
Thank you. So with our brief agenda, we're not going to take too much of your time tonight. We'll go over what an EA does, a little bit of the program overview with courses, scheduling, costs, and student resources that are available at Okanagan College, employment opportunities, what your next steps would be, questions, and contacts. And at any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to either put them in the chat, and then we can answer them as we go along, or if they're still there at the end, we will have a question period, so we will answer them all as well then.
You can also use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen.
Perfect, thank you. So what does an education assistant do? I'm gonna let Christy take this one away.
So education assistants, they support students in the classroom. Generally, they work for school districts. They support students in the classroom who have exceptionalities, and that can be behavioral, medical, or, sorry, I just had someone walk into my room, behavioral, medical, or learning. So EAs are really in the vast majority of all areas of school.
Thank you. And so that's kind of what an EA does, but now what are some of the modules in the program that you will learn about? So what we have here is we have about 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 modules, ranging from school organization, which is usually the first one. And the school organization is looking at how the school system is structured. And then EA 112, so education and child development, it looks at different theories of child development and factors that can influence this development. EA 113 is the workshop. So this session is where you will have a lot of your weekend sessions. So the Saturdays that we schedule for you. And what they are usually is what the school district has reached out to us that they deem important. And these change, these can possibly change every year. So that's why there's not necessarily the same one every time or every year or every school district or every cohort. We make sure that this is the most up-to-date information that we can give the students on workshops. Anything else on that one?
They cover things, they cover things like occupational therapy, speech therapy, those sorts of things. So they're usually, they are always hosted by content experts who develop the programs or who do that specialized work and training with the school districts.
Yeah, and in some of our cohorts too, this is where you might get some of the short certificates, like say nonviolent crisis intervention and first aid as well. So we offer those to all of our education assistants. And then popping into 114, so translating and supporting behavior. This looks at reasons for behavior and how to manage the behavior and working with the teacher to stick to the plan for those as well. So EA 115, implementing and integrating curriculum. This looks at ways to adapt material on how to support students academically. And this could focus on using an education plan to guide you. So an IEP for that. 116, technology and education is learning how to use technology in schools today. So depending on what program you're taking or what cohort, we break this one up a bit so that we can learn a little bit at the beginning and some in the middle. I think, Christy, that's what you do in yours, right? Yeah. And it works out really well.
Yeah, we find that it works out really well because you get sort of the basis at the beginning of that module is how you're going to interact with your instructors, how to use Moodle, all those sorts of things. And then we get a little bit deeper into using common programs in education, like PowerPoint. There are some specialized programs, but those programs are usually only, you're trained for those when you're in a school district position, because every school district has different programs that they buy. So it's really interactive and really good learning experience.
Yeah, such as our Revelstoke School District, they use all Mac computers. So we make sure that we go into the school district and use their computers so that the EAs are familiar with what the software is that they will be using. Okay, so then popping into EA 121, issues in education. This looks at some of the most current issues in education and how you can have an impact or an influence on them. So examples such as bullying and harassment and how you would work your way through those. EA 113 is the workshops, like I mentioned earlier, and then the practicum. So EA 124 is the practicum. And so we're gonna have our own slide just for the practicum portion here. So maybe Christy, you want to talk a little bit to the practicum?
Sure, the practicum is 120 hours long. Generally speaking, if you're based out of a campus, so if you are attending the Vernon, Kelowna, or Salmon Arm or Penticton campus, you will be placed in those school districts. We don't generally go outside of those school districts unless it's an extenuating circumstance, as not to overwhelm the system. You can imagine, although the school districts are desperate for education assistance, the school districts also only have room for so many people to go through a month and be trained. So we don't want to hamper their capacity or overwhelm them, like I said. Now, if you are taking the course online, then we will generally place you in a school district that you live in or are close to. There are some tougher spots for us to place folks in, but we can usually make arrangements in some way. Those spots are usually in the Lower Mainland. We haven't had many issues in the interior of BC.
Perfect. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and the expectation is that you are there for the full 4 weeks, every day within school hours. We know that sometimes extenuating circumstances happen, but those 120 hours do have to be completed. So we would set up with the practicum site for you to continue on in your practicum.
Thank you. And so then the next one we're going to move on to is online learning, because one of the newest forms of the education assistant program that's really taking off is the online program. So we do have a full-time online program based out of Kelowna, and then we do have a part-time online program. So the full-time online program based out of Kelowna, a lot of the practicums will be in Kelowna. I know I'm not on that slide yet, but the part-time program, you can be anywhere in the province. So when you are doing your online learning, there's some really good key 5 takeaways. So reach out for help if you're having any problems whatsoever, set mini deadlines, take a break, avoid distractions, and plan your time. And with all of these, Okanagan College provides supports for all of their online learners as well. The textbook requirements. So we do have about 4 textbooks as a mainstay in our education assistant program. So we have the Role of the Education Assistant, which is an excellent resource book that we just started using in the past 2 years. The best part about it is all Canadian, 3 years. So it is all Canadian content. One of the contributing editors to the book was actually one of our education assistant instructors. She has now since retired, but she's put a lot of effort into that, and it's an excellent resource. And then we also have behavioral support strategies for the educational paraprofessional, yardsticks, and what really works with exceptional learners. So that's what we're using these past few years, but just know that we will always relay to you the most up-to-date information and the books that might be changing from time to time, but we'll let you know that ahead of time. Now the program schedule. Oh, we got a We got a typo there, Christy.
Oh no.
In person. So we have in person and we have online online courses, programs. So we have the in-person program, we have part-time. So maybe Christy, I'll let you talk to the in-person ones. I'll talk to the online ones.
Sure. So the in-person program is generally 2 evenings a week and some Saturdays. We like to say every other Saturday. It may not be every other Saturday, but we like to have a Saturday in between so that you are not, going to school every Saturday or Saturdays in a row. The Saturdays are primarily for the workshops, and they do include things like Mandy said, nonviolent crisis intervention, first aid in some cases. The full-time in-person program does run 8:30 until 2:30 at a campus. Sometimes it's 9 until 3, but usually what the instructor does is take a poll of class and sees what the preference is, because there may be other circumstances that you need to get out before 3 because your kid doesn't get off or gets off of school at 2:30, but those sorts of things are usually worked out within class.
Yeah, and the full-time program that's online as well in Kelowna, it goes till 9:30 to 12:30, but I think that's because you do part of your in-depth skills and work in the classroom, and then there's additional homework on top of that. Yeah, so even though it's 3 hours a day, it's probably closer to 4 or 5 at least.
Yes, yeah, it is. So it's the 3 hours is the synchronous learning. And then in addition to that, there is usually at least 3 hours of asynchronous learning. So learning that is done on your own with videos or research, those sorts of things.
Yeah, so we have the full-time online program, we have it in the fall. So that one, if you go to the education planner portal where you would apply, it would be a Kelowna intake. And then in the winter, it's also an online full-time program, and there's a Kelowna intake as well there. It's all broken down for you. And then this fall, the first time, we have a part-time online program. So that's 2 nights a week. And it is, like Christy said, most Saturdays or every other Saturday. And it will start this fall. It will go from September to June. There is a 2-week break over Christmas, just like with any other program that we have. If they fall over calendars where there is holidays, we will abide by all those holidays. So we have 2 weeks over Christmas. Sometimes we might have a week over spring break. It really just depends on how it falls. But because we can't accommodate every single different school district spring break, it's usually the one where the coordinator is based out of and where the practicums would be. Anything else we're missing there, Christy?
No, I think you're good.
Perfect. So the program cost, the tuition is $4,343. There is an activity fee for $82. Materials are approximately $125. And this can be either you pay for it to the college, we supply the materials, but sometimes it comes out of your own pocket for just little things you might need, not too much though. And then textbooks, approximately $200. And then tech for the online courses. So really it could vary depending on what you have. You would need a laptop or a desktop, a webcam, and a mic are all preferable. We do not recommend a Chromebook just because it doesn't have the same capacities that a laptop has.
Mandy, I'm just going to jump here and answer Shayla's question. Yes, Shayla, at this time, Penticton is the only campus that has a full-time EA in-person program.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome, thank you. So yeah, with the online, if you have any questions regarding that, we have contacts at the end if you want to know specifically what you may need. But mainly, as long as you had a laptop or a desktop with a webcam and a mic, that would be adequate. You don't have to have a webcam, although it is nice to be able to communicate with your class as well that way. So some of the student resources that we have at Okanagan College that are available to every single student, no matter what department or what course that you're in. We have Okanagan College Financial Aid and Awards. We have Education Advising, Indigenous Services. We have the library, which is a huge resource because they'll help you find resources, develop and follow your research strategies that you might have. We have counseling services. Past few years with COVID, we find that sometimes A lot of our students, not even students, just us ourselves, we struggle with our daily life. So they provide a safe and confidential space to explore your concerns, and they will work with you to make sure that you're strengthening your ability to cope and continue on in the program. And we have accessibility services, which means that if you do have an accessibility need, they will make sure to work with you so that you have equal access to any educational opportunity at Okanagan College. IT services, a great help, especially with online learning. They have the help desk, which has phone, email, or a chat as well. So if you're in Moodle, it's within their working hours, that you can just pop into the chat and someone will be there to help you.
We will email all of you this presentation as well, and all of these links are live, so you'll be able to just click and go straight to that page for those resources.
Yeah, which is super handy. And then we have the Learning and Success Center, which is also great. Sometimes students might come in and say, I haven't been a student for a good long time, I might need some help. And you can reach out to the Learning and Success Center, as well as the next one down, which is the Online Learning Resource Center. So they'll help students develop skills that you need to complete your program, whether it's in reading or writing, maybe some essays that you might have to do, some projects, learning how to use different formats. They can help you with that as well. And then with the online learning resource, just understanding how to work within your Moodle, which is the online learning platform that regardless of if you're face-to-face or online, all of the information is housed in our Moodle. And then we have the campus bookstores, where you can purchase textbooks, you can purchase OC memorabilia and OC clothing as well. Christy, you want to talk to WorkBC a little bit?
Sure. All of our Okanagan College regions have a WorkBC center. WorkBC helps to support people to get training and jobs. And actually, this is really good timing because they usually need about 2.5, 3 months to get everything worked out for you. But you should definitely reach out to WorkBC because they can definitely help you with your tuition and books if you are eligible. They can also help you with the resume and interview access to resources there, and job development services. So we work really closely with WorkBC in all of our centers. So we definitely know that they do a good job.
Yeah, and the other thing, so in the email that I'll send you out tomorrow, just a thank you email, there'll be the link right there to WorkBC, so where you can access more information. There's also a great job bank at WorkBC. So if you're ever looking for a job, or it gives you a link right to their Facebook as well, which is where they post a ton of their jobs. So you can see upcoming jobs. They link it right into Indeed as well, so which the school districts will populate their jobs into. So it's a really great resource to have either coming into your news feed in your email or on your Facebook if you're on social media. So employment opportunities. Chris, you want to talk a little bit to that one?
Sure. I'm not going to read this out to you, but the vast majority of our EA graduates are employed with school districts. The reason the one statistics that says 45% are employed full-time is because the majority of EA positions aren't considered full-time. They are usually about 30 hours. You work 5 hours, between 5 and 5.5 hours a day, depending on your position. Some are longer. Elementary schools, of course, have a shorter bell system, so they have fewer hours, whereas high schools offer a couple more hours a week. It is a highly sought position right now in all of the school districts in the Okanagan College region.
Yeah, and then there's also other opportunities. So if you're an EA, you can do lunch hour supervision to pop up hours if you do want full-time hours. A lot of people that do take the education assistant program are stay-at-home caregivers, so they really like the opportunity to go to work when their kids are at school and then be home when their kids are at home. So that's one really nice opportunity there as well.
There are opportunities outside of the school districts as well. Different organizations like NONA here in the North Okanagan that help to support families who have children with exceptionalities. They hire REAs as well.
Perfect. So what are the next steps if you're interested? So the first thing that you do is apply to the program. So you can go to okanagan.bc.ca/apply. You can go to the Okanagan College webpage, which is just okanagan.bc.ca, or Google it. And in the top search button, you can press apply. It will take you there. And then just follow through the education planner. So you'd have to register through Education BC, and you'll be able to apply to Okanagan College that way. Then you would meet the admission requirements. So you need a BC secondary school graduation or mature student status, English 12 with a minimum of 60%. And then the last one would be a criminal record check, a clear criminal record check. And then you pay your deposit and you are registered into the program. Oh, okay, now we will turn it over to everyone else if you have questions of us. And know too that I will send an email out tomorrow. So if you have a question, it goes in and out of your brain and you remember it tomorrow, please don't hesitate to reply back to our email.
I'm just going to say one more quick thing, Mandy, and I think that you've experienced this as well. When we started going online with our programs, we were all a little worried because a lot of people have some anxiety surrounding online learning. And even with my most recent cohort, which started just last September, we did a hybrid model. So some days were online and some days were in person. And not even midway through, just after the first couple of months, all of the EA students were saying, why do we have to go to the campus? Can't we just do it all online? Because the systems that are set up are actually really user-friendly.
Yeah, it is. And to one of the other questions in the chat, so I do believe that international students can do this course as long as you have the proper paperwork for taking schooling here in Canada. But if you do have questions, like I said, I can put you in touch with international and they'll be able to answer all of those questions for you as well. So if you have any questions, just keep on asking them. That's fine. And like I said, you're more than welcome to email us tomorrow. I will send this out as a PDF slide to everyone with the live links so that if you want to go through and see all the different information that we talked about tonight, you're more than welcome to do that. The contacts, so we actually offer the education assistant in all the contact regions here. So Salmon Arm, Revelstoke, Vernon, Kelowna, Penticton, and online. And if you want to reach out and you have questions regarding those specific intakes, the email addresses are right beside it there. But if you do send it to one of the other emails, they're just for different regions. Don't worry, your emails will get answered. Our continuing studies group and support staff are amazing and excellent. Well, that about wraps up our info session for tonight. Me and Christy and I will stay on for maybe another few minutes so that if anyone else wants to stay on the line and talk with us, have questions, feel free to. And for the rest of you, I will send this all out tomorrow. And I really thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate that.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions. So Chi Yan Lee asks, can you use the certificate for course upgrade to Canadian universities? At this time, no, that would be considered a bridging program. This is not a accredited course. It's a standalone paraprofessional certificate. Yes, although we do take some modules from universities as a recognition of prior learning if they meet the criteria and learning outcomes of the modules. And the course, it depends, the course is, what is it, 420 hours?
447 hours.
447 hours. So if you take the part-time version, it generally runs from September to June, the beginning of June. And if you take the full-time course, it generally runs from September to December and January until May.
And oh yeah, we just answered the last question on how long is the course. So that's good. And then the other thing is there's always, if you are coming into the program with other education behind you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us because there might be course equivalents, course credits that we can use so that while we always recommend you take the full course and stay with your cohort, you may be eligible for some credits towards this program as well.
No, there's not. It's synchronous in a lot of ways, Melanie, that you can't really work ahead on your own.
You might be able to work ahead like a week a little bit or an assignment, but that may be it. But I know what you're talking about, maybe just like kind of getting through it, which would be kind of cool. But we've had some students that have tried that, and it's a lot of work to do.
It's a very collaborative course too. So this isn't the expectation for this course isn't you just come in and, you know, hang out with the people and talk about exceptionalities in children. It's a proper college course.
And we have team assignments and team projects and team presentations as well, mm-hmm. which really adds to the depth of the course.
There are some synchronous workshops or asynchronous workshops that we have though, Mandy, that you would be able to complete more quickly.
Yeah, we run an Indigenous Canada workshop, and that's over 12 weeks, I believe, Christy, and you can go through that one faster if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Melanie, if you have your ECE, there's definitely a possibility that would, you could have some transfer credit there. Yes, Mandy can do that.
I can do that for the minimum requirements for the laptops, for sure.
You don't need a heck of a lot, just slightly more than a Chromebook.
Mm-hmm. Mainly it's just so that you can run, say, PowerPoint and Outlook at the same time, or PowerPoint and a Word document at the same time. Whereas Chromebook can do it, it just doesn't do it as fast, and it can be more laggy.
There is all of those things, Grace. There is written work, there's projects, there's presentation, there's lots of multimedia stuff. I have one instructor that gets people to do posters, various posters for various things. There's research projects on organizations that can be used as supports for children with exceptionalities and funding and things like that. There's quizzes, there's lots of stuff. It's very interactive. These are great questions, guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, Rena, we missed you in the Q&A. Is it government funded? This program isn't government funded, and because it's run through continuing studies, we're a cost recovery branch of the college. So you can get like technically government funding for it through things like Work BC, but it's not a government funded program like you would see with, let's say, LPN or something like that.
But one of the really great things for the part-time program, it is part-time grant eligible.
Yes, so that is true.
And that is through the government. And you can work with our financial aid and awards if you have any difficulties or want to know more information about that. But the grant for this program probably pays up to, I would say, between 80 and 90% of the tuition of this program. So, and we can do that because it's over 2 semesters. So we can apply for the part-time studies grant twice for this program. So you'll get it for the first part of the program and the second part, which pays for, like I said, the majority of the courses. So it's a really excellent opportunity. If anyone applies for this program, I would always recommend, and they're taking the part-time program, to apply for it, for sure. And the other thing is, there's so many opportunities out there, and education assistants are in such high demand that even if you don't need a student loan, you may want to apply for it because there's grants on the back end of student loans. But that's how they see if you're eligible for them, is by going through the student loan process.
Okay, so we've got a few more really good questions. Melanie, you're asking for someone who did all of previous schooling online on my own. Would you recommend the part-time online or full-time? Really, that's entirely up to you and what's going on in your life, right? The expectation with the part-time program is that you're in class for 6 hours a week, and then you'll have homework and assignments on top of that. The full-time program, you're in class and doing assignments for about 25 hours a week. So if you have a job, if you have a family, if you want to make sure that you're still spending lots of time doing those things, I would recommend the part-time program. But it completely is dependent on your situation.
And it really depends on if you're an online learner or not. I love online learning. So I would do the online learning, but believe me, not everyone likes online learning or even wants to do it. But if you have done all your previous schooling online and you did good and you enjoyed it, I'd say online is a good fit for you, for sure.
For sure. And then Shayla asked if the online or in-person class in Kelowna is full-time. So for the fall, their in-person class is part-time.
Yep. Do you want me to pop
And their
back
online and their online program is part-time. But in the winter, they'll have an online full-time.
Oh, let me see if I can go back to it here. There we go. There's a program schedule. But and Shayla, if you have any questions at all about that, don't hesitate to reply back to my email and we'll get you those dates and the times for you as well. Okay, and the Melanie too. Oh,
sorry. The practicum is 120 hours, so 4 full school weeks.
Yeah. And Melanie, if you want to have if you have questions on which option is best for you, our education advisors are amazing. They're excellent, and they can sit down and help you with that as well. So they can go through what your needs are, what your wants are, and help you decide which is best for you. So I will also have links for that tomorrow in my email. Oh, did we? Oh, that's the one we answered in the question and answer. I gotta say, Christy, these people did some awesome questions.
Yeah, they did. Pretty impressed.
Thank you for making it interactive for us, and that's just not talking into the blind air. That's great.
Oh, come on, Maddie, you love being a talking head.
Yeah.
All right, so we've hit the 7:30 mark. Really happy that you could all join us. And like Mandy said, you'll get the email tomorrow and there isn't an exam period. There's an exam or a test after every module.
Yeah.
So it isn't like traditional university where there's an exam period for 3 weeks.
And even the exams can consist of many different things. They may not be an exam. They might be a written essay. They might be a presentation. They might be a project. It may be an individual project or a team-based project, not necessarily an exam for every module.
Yeah. So definitely, if any other questions come up, shoot us an email tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Christy. Thanks so much to all the participants and the attendees tonight. Have a good night.